right. So Janora, as far as her abilities go, um, her her teleportation, whatever the heck that was at the end of season two, was completely out there, and I have just what in the world were they thinking? And the poison, that's my biggest complaint, and I'll get to the poison. Oh, I'll get to that. Lots of complaints about the poison. But I felt like her abilities and knowledge were she was an excuse character. She was just a conduit for Deus Ex Machina.
Um, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I don't know where she's gonna go yet.
Her connection with the spirits, okay. The spiritual projection teleportation thing though, in the second season, it did not work very well. Not in the way they presented it anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where she's going yet. I think the next book is gonna be her big. Her
So
big.
let's see. The finale of I liked them on, and I was disappointed that he committed suicide. I was kind of hoping to see him again, actually, believe it or not. Um,
Remind me really quickly. Was he the one
the Bender
who
Bit,
went on the boat with his brother?
the masked guy was Amon.
But his last episode was they were on a
Yeah,
boat, right? Him and his brother.
yeah, and he
Okay.
ignited the gas tank.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm thinking of the right guy.
Um, I was kind of hoping to have at least one of them, start to turn over a new leaf or maybe not become heroes, but maybe shift from immoral to amoral, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
but then he committed double suicide, and that was that. That was really unfortunate. I felt they could have done more with the character without really forcing it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with bringing him back as long as it's done tastefully.
Well, the only person who was a villain and is still alive is Varric, right?
If you can call him a villain, he was always in a very weird place.
Yeah.
He's he's definitely amoral, not immoral. He doesn't even have a moral compass. It doesn't exist for him. Right. So the finale of season two, a lot of people say that whole thing was just complete. Uh, the polite term is made up, I guess. I want to say a different term, but I'll be respectful of your rating. Um, I think you know the term I'm thinking of. It's a common term, uh, pulled out of nowhere. Uh, anyways, yeah. However, I don't think it was quite that bad. I do think the villain was portrayed exceptionally poorly and was not intimidating at all. But as far as Korra's whole giant avatar thing, yeah, I think it's plausible. Think about where she was. First of all, okay, we've established that a spirit walk puts you into the spirit world and you walk around as this spirit entity. She was in the spirit world at an area where I guess you could say the veil was thin, even at the spirit world layer,
Hmm.
and she initiated a spirit walk physically in from the spirit world at this focal point or thin area, which okay, if you assume that spirit walks puts your spirit onto the next plane, then okay, it's reasonable that hey, she actually achieved an even higher one, and we've seen that plane before. Aang has interacted with it. So then she runs up to this big avatar as a spirit and kind of possesses it, and then she uses that focal point. Basically, she goes through one portal to bring it into the spirit world, and then another portal to bring it into the real world. And okay, it's sort of out of nowhere, but I still think it's plausible and not completely bogus.
Yeah, I didn't really have any issue with with her.
Janora's role in that is just what bothered me. And the villain. The villain just okay. In the Last Airbender, you have this crazy Fire Lord with super fire. You know, he's already very very powerful. This comet is making him even more powerful, and then you see how terrifying the Avatar state is, even compared to him. That's wow. But then here's the big threat: his soldiers are burning an entire continent systematically to ash, which, if you really think about it, that would be the functional equivalent of a nuclear holocaust and nuclear fallout, or nuclear holocaust and nuclear winter, minus the radioactive fallout.
Sure.
This is, holy crap, the devastation both to that continent and the ash being thrown into the air. That would have been absolutely mind-numbingly destructive to the entire world, not just the Earth Nation. So you have this enormous, enormous threat, and then in Korra, you have a vigilante who's secretly a megalomaniac who's taking away power from benders.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a corrupt politician, and then you have the embodiment of all evil, who actually feels a lot less powerful than the Fire Lord for some reason that I have no idea why. That Korra just punches out, more or less. Did you just punch out Cthulhu? As the trope is named on TV Tropes. Don't visit that website. It will ruin your life. You'll spend hours and hours there, and you can't stop analyzing stuff once you start reading those pages. Anyways, I've been lost many a sleepless nights have been spent on that site because I couldn't break away from it. Right. So, anyways, and then here comes this, season 3. The villain is essentially a brand new airbender, and that's it.
Yeah, his faith was more powerful than his abilities. He never really one-on-one kicked anyone's butt. He did well, but That's
one thing that I really liked about him, though.
Yep.
He wasn't as powerful as his fellows.
Yep.
He led by charisma, and I liked that he really wasn't as powerful as other benders. For one thing, okay, yeah, he practiced, but he's still a newbie, only just putting it into practical terms. And I think they actually, okay, yes, it's completely out there that A, he studied it, and B, just happened to get airbending. But if you can get past that, if you can just ignore that one little bit, yep. I think they handled him really, really well. And then I loved how Tenzin kicked his butt to Mars and back.
Yep.
You actually got to see a true air master put him in his place until he got triple and quadruple teamed.
Yep.
And it was great to finally see him fight. That was long coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who thought Tenzin was going to die this series, or at least that's what they talked about on the podcast that I listened to.
There was a moment where I started to wonder.
Yeah, because usually, once a character gets, achieves certain things, their value as a martyr.
On the other hand, I do have to say, the Legend of Korra has been extremely nervous about killing people off.
Oh, not this season, though.
You've got major villains that are killed off. You've got completely unlikable people that are killed off.
Yeah.
And what else? I think that's it. Major villains and completely unlikable people.
Yeah, but still, for a show that's on Nickelodeon, the fact that they killed...
I couldn't believe how that firebender went out. Yes, they moved the camera away at the moment it occurred, but
oh, yeah.
They gave you plenty for your imagination to fill in all the blanks.
Well, that one I didn't even realize. I thought they just put metal around her head. I didn't realize they squished her head, and
No,
but
no, no,
then
they didn't. They didn't. She
isn't
exploded her head.
well no they
No, no, no.
metal bended the
Point
armor
blank.
breastplate
She used
basically.
her skill point blank.
Well, it basically wrapped around her head and like popped her head. Like I pictured it
It
as
wasn't the
smushing her.
metal, though. It was her own explosion.
Oh,
You see the
inside.
glow of it. You see the glow of the shot
Oh,
about to occur as the metal wraps around it. She
okay.
exploded her own head.
Okay, so that actually makes me feel better because I thought that Lynn killed her.
That
Uh,
was actually a fluke. I was talking to a friend about this. It's like if she did it just a little bit sooner, they could have taken her in alive.
yeah, well, and they didn't. We didn't get to dwell on their reaction shot. I thought she killed her, and I was like a little bit surprised that there was no repercussion from that, you know. But if she killed herself, Piley killed herself, that makes a lot more sense now.
Well, I wouldn't say anyone killed her necessarily. She died from fluke timing.
Yeah, well, she killed herself from, I mean, basically exploding her own head with fire or
But
whatever.
I couldn't believe they did that. And I applauded them for that.
Yeah, no, that was really nice. But even
Wow.
even the
I
Earth
also
Queen,
it's completely justified for it never to have come up before because there has never been a character that would at all be inclined to ever do so. But I gotta say, it was nice to finally have confirmation that yes, airbenders can asphyxiate you.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of power stuff that I'm like, why aren't they trying this? Why aren't they trying that?
Metal bending, hoverboard. Get it done, people.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah.
Airbenders do it. They bend the air to create lift on those gliders of theirs. So, strap your feet to a board and then use metal bending to fling the board with you strapped to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You might have a hard time landing, but come on, let's have some fun.
Yeah, and that
Yes.
that's that was one of the very first things that drew me to Avatar, to the show at all, was the fact that every episode they were doing something new with the powers, and that's what I look for in even these Korra episodes. Is like, okay, what are they gonna do next?
I love that going back to that first one, when Aang is first trying to learn firebending, the very first training exercise is to both maintain and contain flame. That was a fantastic way to start it, and it really did give you a feel for, the significance of fire and the need to be patient, to not let it get out of hand.
Hmm. Yeah. So you were running down more things that you didn't like.
Okay, so third season, what else was there? Hmm. I think there was way too much random idiocy in the first few episodes.
There,
Just
I don't think there was as much. Okay, go ahead, finish your thought. Actually, then I'll.
for example, I get it was for comedy, but it was badly straining my suspension of disbelief when Tenzin managed to say the exact opposite thing he needed to for every single early recruit attempt. It's like, okay, that's kind of stretching it, guys.
Yeah, I like that. So my thinking is in season one, book one, sorry, the kid. was the comic relief, and it was all fart jokes and that kind of thing.
I
And
still love him.
well, but they
Do
didn't
love.
really. He didn't. That he wasn't really the comedy in this season. Boomy had some, but I felt like overall that was less. There was less comedy for the sake of comedy.
I would say they distributed the comedy very evenly in season three. Come to think of it, I still think they went over the top with Tenzin's recruitment attempts, though.
Um, yeah, I I don't know that it was over the top, but it
The
was.
exact opposite thing every time.
Yeah. I agree. It was a little. It was interesting. I think they tried to make comedy with the animals, Naga and
Hmm.
what's that other thing?
Bol- oh crap, Boland's pet. I can't remember its name.
Yeah, Pabu.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
feel like it didn't pay off, and those two didn't actually do anything else this book.
yeah.
But other than that, I can't think of a lot of comedy for the sake of comedy this season, though.
It was really well integrated. Yeah. Um, except for the crazy inventor guy that that was a comedy for the sake of comedy. But
Yeah,
again, it was
yeah.
consistent though.
Well, you're right because he didn't have any payoff this season. He introduced some topics. He told people why he's there, and that was about it.
Let's see what else. I want to cover the poison last because that was the absolute worst thing.
Okay.
Um, I think I'm reaching the end though, actually, which is pretty nice. The magma bender, um, his level of power was extremely inconsistent. Uh, my main point of reference when the girl said just bury them,
Yeah.
that's my main point of reference because you see him methodically, one, two, three, four, and the floor was, all lava.
Yeah. That's true.
Then a little bit later, and the entire outside of the temple is melting. How did he
Yeah.
convert all of that to lava that fast? And then there's his little final attempt at taking people down. And once again, he's making a lot of lava really fast. And it seems like a lot more than he did, a lot faster than he did inside the temple. And it's like, now wait a minute, this doesn't match up.
Yeah, and the movement of the lava and the amount that it was spreading. I mean, without an active
You
heat,
think it was a gray goo scenario?
well, without an active heat source, I think lava is going to move slower and cool much quicker than what
And obsidian eyes, yeah.
and I didn't see that happening. I don't know how picky I should be about it though, because um,
Well, as I mentioned, do you know what a gray goo scenario is?
not familiar with that term
It's
actually.
usually associated with nanobots, and
Okay,
the idea that they will replicate themselves,
I see.
and they wind up incorporating all the a gray goo scenario is when nanobots go rampant and wind up incorporating all the material they come across to build more nanobots and more nanobots and more nanobots, and
Sure.
essentially eventually everything is converted into this gray goo. The lava was kind of behaving like a gray goo scenario, come to
Okay. I thought you were saying Grey Goose.
no goo.
Gotcha. Grey
Goop.
Goose
You as in
scenario.
goop.
Yeah.
So the lava bending was very inconsistent as far as this guy goes. Bolin, that didn't really seem too inconsistent. Once you get past the holy crap, how did he learn that so suddenly?
That
And
was fine.
then there
Yeah.
was how the waterbender was defeated. Um, I don't have as much of a problem with this as other people have, and I think I have a different problem with it entirely from what some other people have. Like one of my friends, I don't even remember what their problem was, but he seemed to think that that was right. One of my friend's problems was why didn't he use lightning on her in the first place if lightning was
Yes.
such a perfect counter? And I said, no, 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 no. See,
Yes.
they've established, they have established from the very first, from Last Airbender, the lightning hits where it's aimed, not where it's most conductive. In other words, he would actually have to aim and hit her for it to work on her. And then,
Mm.
if you hit anyone with it, they're gonna drop. Period. Waterbender or not. Um, and here's the thing: she is the second most agile of the main villains. Hitting her is kind of hard.
Okay, I thought that he just hit her from the perspective of he hit the pond and she was in the pond and it all got
Well,
electrocuted.
that's why I don't have a problem with that because he had a much bigger target then.
Yeah,
He didn't have to hit her; he just had to hit the water she was connected to.
yeah. But I agree with you. Like, as soon as he did that, I was like, that's a great move. Why didn't you guys do that much earlier?
Well, that's the thing. He would have missed. That's what I have to say about it. Why didn't he try it? Okay, he probably should have tried it. He would have missed. We know
Yeah.
he would have missed because, narrative, but he should have tried it. Um,
Well, and I
my
never.
problem, my
It's funny because I've all along been a fan of the advanced bending, except I was afraid. I think it was in season 2, or maybe it was in this season it was in this season that they were going too fast, and suddenly, like, one person discovers it and it spreads like wildfire, and suddenly everybody's a metal bender, and there's a whole police force of metal benders. When, like, you know, I
yeah.
and I was thinking, like, you know, me being the logical person I am, if I was, like, let's say, an earthbender, I feel like I would have been experimenting with pushing the limits, but no one seems that doesn't seem to happen that much in that world.
Oh,
It,
there was Toph, and
yeah,
that's
but
about it.
yeah, well, exactly, and like the whole metal bending thing, like I feel like should have been discovered earlier, or been
Yeah, why did no one ever try that?
yeah, and like you said about the airbending. Well, I guess there wasn't any airbenders, which I still don't really understand why there were suddenly. I guess it's the universe.
Harmonic convergence,
Yeah,
supposedly injecting a little bit of balance back into the world
yeah,
by causing a resurgence of a lost art.
but that yeah, but I guess well,
Excuse plot.
but that I guess I would think that it would not be so widespread.
You mean scattered?
Yeah, or like random old people, young people. It would have been more
Okay, think about it.
targeted.
Think
I
about
don't
it
know.
this way. Think about it this way. Air nomads. All of these people could actually be distant descendants of air nomads.
Yeah, I don't. I
That's the way I look at it.
actually don't really have any issue with that whole uh, piece. I was that it was interesting this season as I saw various things come into play. I was like ready um, to be disappointed, and I thought that's the direction some stuff was going. But then it ended up not. And I ended up really enjoying pretty much everything that happened. It
Yeah,
was
there were a
interesting.
couple moments like that for me. Um, right. So the whole lightning defeating the waterbender. My problem with that, he didn't use the form. He just touched the water and there was lightning.
Hmm.
Has that been done anywhere else? I can't remember it. All the times I can remember, they did the form. They did the circle thing to gather energy, focus it, and then shoot it. And then he just did it spontaneously. That's my problem with it.
That is true, I think, but I don't. Again, I don't know that I had an issue with it, but that doesn't. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't. I guess when I watch it, I assume that the forms are like more about your personal focus and not what
They've hammered
actually.
home over and over again that the forms are important, though.
But I don't know that that's what controls the bending, though. That's just important for you to focus on it or to draw it out of yourself.
But there's no real evidence of that, though.
No,
So you're
no.
you're grasping at straws there.
I don't know. I mean, that's just how I've kind of interpreted it as.
Okay, and then there was the poison.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, I have got a list of things wrong with the poison. Okay. Firstly, uh, considering how the poison removed, we can assume that the one that put it into Korra was a earthbender.
I think so. Yep. It was metal. It was
It
mercury, I
Yeah, that
think.
seems to be the case. Most people seem to think Mercury. That's what makes sense. Um, that's another problem, though. Anyway, so we can assume it was an earthbender, and this earthbender, um, it looked like a water form to me. Did it not look like a water form to you? And the way the mercury moved through the air?
I guess, but again, like I I don't really watch the form per se because they all look the same to me, like water, spirit.
There is a difference.
Yeah, I haven't really
It
had an
looked like
issue
a
with
water
that.
form to me. And you were talking about lava being both fire and earth, and there seem to be some hybrids out there. Well, this seems to be a kind of a sort of a hybrid between water and earth bending in this case, moving a fluid metal.
You know what? If you no, I don't know. If you can argue for uh, basically, the magma and a salt versus a solid and water between solid and liquid, I don't see why the mercury was any different. It's just
Well, no, no,
metal.
no. I haven't actually said what the problem was yet.
Okay, because I was
I'm
gonna say I think it's
facts
just a metal
first.
in a different form.
Facts, facts first, then contradictions. So okay, it looked like an earthbender from all the information we gathered. It looked like an earthbender using a water form to move a fluid metal. Okay, so far so good. Um, Earthbending, they use impurities in the metal as focal points. They can't bend platinum because it's too pure. Mercury won't have impurities.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm a little bit bothered by that. I guess you could say, oh, it was the water bending form. It allowed them to bypass that issue because that allowed them to move the fluid Earth. But I'm not sure I buy that. So there's that, and then we have at the end, Janora says it's a metal-based poison. You can save her if you hurry, or something like that. But she says it's a metal-based poison.
Hmm.
Um, how did she know this?
Well,
Okay, she was using the spirit walk and she was spying. Okay. Was there any reason for any of them to say what the substance was other than poison? I'm No, there really wasn't.
But I think they did say it though, didn't they?
I don't think so.
Or maybe you could just see that it was
Ah,
metal.
okay, I'm getting to that. So, step by step. So, vocally, there's no vocal reason for her to know it's metal. I mean, what motivation? All of them knew what they were doing. All of them knew what the plan was. They didn't need to discuss it. No one, there wasn't any one of their members saying, "Hey, what's this poison?" No, they already knew. Everyone knew what they were there for. Um, so there was no vocal reason for her to have heard what the poison was. And okay, visual. It's a fluid. She sees a fluid, and if she saw someone bending it, she would see what looked like a water bending form. And as I mentioned, it looked to me as a water bending form. And this is an air bender. She's not a water bender. She's not an earth bender. How would she tell the difference? Answer is she wouldn't. So if it looks like a waterbending form to me, you'd think it would look like a waterbending form to her. Now, as far as just what the fluid looked like, except for around Korra, the cave had very heavy tinting in the light. And in fact, until it came into the light around Korra, you really couldn't see the color very well. It actually looked green because of the light of the cave. I had no idea it was metal at all until it finally touched her skin, and then it looks silvery now. Uh,
I'll have to go back and rewatch it because I feel like I knew right away that it was mercury. They didn't say mercury, but something about it made me know that it was metal.
mm.
And
It
maybe
was very shiny. And then when you saw it, when it came into the light at Korra, then yes, you could see, okay, that looks like metal.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Janora wasn't spirit walking at the time they applied it to Korra, though, so she wouldn't have seen it in the whiter light.
Hmm.
She would have only ever seen it in the green light.
Yeah,
And it was all in a bowl. Basically, I see absolutely no reason whatsoever for her to know how did she know it was metal?
hmm, yeah. I generally didn't have an issue with it. I do see some of the points that you're bringing up, but I don't know. Those I'm not too sure. I'm
And
too
there's
worried
more.
about.
Okay, so it was manipulated using what looked like water forms. When the earthbender that saved her, I forget which one it was, but when the earthbender pulled the poison out of Korra, by all rights, she shouldn't have known the forms needed to bend this fluid metal.
I I feel like that. See, again, I don't know that it's the form.
Well, still, she shouldn't have known how to do that because this is another one of those unique circumstances that we've never been exposed to before.
Yeah. Well, it feels like what she was doing was sort of feeling the metal inside of Cora's body,
Okay, next issue.
and then pulling it along to draw it out, like pulling it through the veins up towards her
Next
thing. But
issue.
there might have been other metals in her blood as well.
I'm not buying it. I don't think she should have been able to know how to get it out of her. And then, okay, it was absorbed through the skin, but then it was pulled out through her mouth, and it was pulled out
Yeah.
rather quickly,
Yeah.
which should imply hemorrhaging of her stomach, her lungs, and or her esophagus.
Sure.
She should have been coughing up blood, and she should have needed to immediately seek a water healer to heal that internal bleeding, or she would have been both poisoned. And the poison's effects did not go away when the poison went away. That's established. She would have been suffering from poison and blood loss, internal bleeding.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yet, no, there was no internal bleeding from that large amount of metal just being very quickly pulled out of her.
Yep. Yeah. I can see that.
So that whole poison thing, there are so many problems with it. Now, I have heard someone complain that I did see someone complain that the Avatar state wasn't powerful enough in this fight. Why was it weakened? Or they were saying that maybe she was weaker because she lost her past lives. First of all, losing prior knowledge is not necessarily losing prior power.
Right.
Second, she didn't lose her memories. Therefore, any technique she has used previously, she should still know how to use. Thirdly, it told us she was suffering from the poison. You
Yeah.
could have predicted that very easily. And then when she collapsed, we were told, oh, it's the poison.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also, uh, and this I got a little bit spoiled on it, but I thought that when she was first, she was trying not to go into the Avatar state,
Mm-hmm.
because if she did and they killed her while she was in the Avatar state, it was over for the Avatar. Whereas if they just killed her as a person, the Avatar would just go to someone else, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I wasn't too upset with the fact that it was like flickering. Like they even said she's resisting.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fine with that,
Mm-hmm.
that part of it.
No problems there. That whole scene, my only problem was with the poison. The flight, fine. Hey, he had a philosophical epiphany. He was able to let go. He was in his own mind, he was righteous, and in his own mind, he did let go of all worldly things, and he was acting for the greater good. So I can totally believe, okay, fine, fine. He achieved such inner peace that he was able to fly. And yes, he let go of more than Aang even did. Aang momentarily reached that when he regained the ability to once again achieve the Avatar state after possibly locking himself out of it with the whole chi thing.
Hmm.
Similar situation, but Aang didn't actually lose Katara. So, um, Aang never achieving that state, fine. He had worldly ties. And also it stated the avatar must have worldly ties. The avatar it basically the whole purpose of the avatar is incompatible with the air nomad full on enlightenment.
Philosophy. Yeah, I always I guess he was going to fly in an earlier episode when he found that thing and stole it from Tenzin,
Hmm.
and
That's what gave them the clue
yeah,
on how to do it.
I didn't see it coming, but I also I don't know. I just to me the flight ability doesn't seem like it was uh, I mean, obviously it's a big deal, but I guess I don't know. Well, I don't know. I thought it was fine. I didn't have any real issue with it.
Yeah, it was hinted at throughout. Okay, some people maybe didn't see it coming, but it was hinted at throughout the season.
Yeah.
Um, and there is precedence because hey, we're told the air bisons are the first airbenders. We see the air bisons
Right.
airbend, and then they can levitate, and we've never been given explanation for how. It's a reasonable explanation that oh, the levitation is a form of airbending that the air nomads just haven't succeeded at.
Well, Tenzin even said at one point, or when he saw him fly, is like only one other person's ever been able to
That
get.
that was one of the earlier hints. In fact, his very first history lesson, he's teaching them about that one guru that achieved it. Actually,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know. It just goes back to my whole thing about this guy in prison who wasn't an airbender meditating and suddenly becomes an airbender,
that
and
that is a problem. Yes, that's
that's
kind of hard to swallow.
that's where, like, did he know then that he was gonna fly,
No.
or did he only do it after he stole that thing?
Actually, when he got airbending, he did say something like "the universe is on my side" or something like that. It intensified his conviction that much more. So maybe he kind of did. He already knew about the guru that could fly. He did know that there was one that could fly. So maybe he did have that goal from the moment he realized he had gained the airbending powers.
Yeah, I actually through the whole series, I couldn't really figure out what their plan was or what it was going to be. It felt very, very random.
Here's the thing, I still don't understand that actually. Um, it seemed like they wanted to restore the battle between Rava and whatever the evil one was. I can't remember its name.
Yeah, Vatu.
Vatu. Okay. Um, I should be able to remember that. That's a
I'm
Legend of Zelda villain
I'm really
name.
surprised I can remember because I'm usually really
Or
bad at that.
actually, no. Let me correct that. He shares a name with a Legend of Zelda villain.
Gotcha.
Oh my goodness, I completely lost it when I heard one of the airbenders being called Otaku. That was his name.
Oh,
I just completely lost it.
I didn't even catch that.
It was the nerdy one. It was
Mm.
during that first lesson, and there was this one nerdy one. They kind of implied he's the one that always answers. This is the only time he had a spoken line, though, I think.
Yeah, actually, I don't think
Just this
he.
one shot gag character, come to think of it. But yeah, he was the only character that wanted to answer. They kind of implied he was the only character answering any of it, and he
Hmm.
was actually excited about all of it. And then his name was Otaku, and I started cracking up. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, Vatu and Rava. It kind of once they gave more information, it kind of sounded like they wanted to restore the normal battle between Vatu and Rava, where the Avatar wasn't even involved in that battle anymore. But
I
then
don't. Go on, go on.
Vatu is not gone completely because it's been established. Okay, when you kill one, there's a tiny seed of them in the other. You can never actually kill them completely. Um, I'm kind of wondering if their intent was to quote unquote free Rava by killing the Avatar in the Avatar state. But that's the thing. The Avatar state is Rava possessing the Avatar.
I don't get it. Because it was either about anarchy or it was about, in governments or it was about.
Well, chaos is the true order of the world, and
Yeah, I just.
the battle between Rava and what? Wait, was it Vatu or Vati?
Oh,
Crap,
I
I've
thought
messed up for
I thought
both.
it was Vatu actually.
Vatu, okay.
I could be
Um,
wrong.
so this big battle between Vatu and Rava, that was chaos. Think back when Juan stumbled across them. That was completely chaotic.
Sure.
And it seems like they're trying to go back to sort of a primordial world where everything was really chaotic, mostly.
So the Red Lotus is a bunch of people that just want the whole world to go back to chaos. Is that what I'm supposed to?
Yeah, because they feel that's the only way that the world is truly at balance. They're a bunch of philosophical nutcases.
Yeah, I don't understand that. So I don't think I'll be able to
Oh,
understand.
okay. There is a undertone going on there that I caught. All of it kind of seemed like all of the people, all of the other three had previously been in prison and were freed even before um, they got caught trying to kidnap Korra, which means that these he basically this guy, this mundane, went around freeing. It sounds like he went around freeing and recruiting people who were extremely bitter towards the various legal systems of the world.
Yeah.
And he's offering this freedom, and he's talking about wanting to give this world this ultimate freedom. And it sounds like just a bunch of really bitter people, to be honest, that are taking things really, really far.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I guess is my issue there.
Yeah, I
I mean,
there
like I don't. I'm sure we're gonna see more Red Lotus in the next one because there was
I
even a
hope so.
line. Even Mako said, "There's more. There's obviously more Red Lotus than we were aware of. So you
Yeah,
know there's gonna be more." But
yeah.
I just like his plan was to kill the Avatar, but he was doing it in this roundabout way, and then like I don't know why did he kill the Earth Queen just because.
He wanted to kill all the world leaders, and that was
Yeah.
she was right there. You know,
Yeah, it just seems like
it was
confusion of
convenient.
purpose, but
Well, killing her was really, really convenient. He didn't have to go out of his way. She was right there. She was pissing him off. Um, you know, take care of it now so he doesn't have to come back later. And he'll deal with the other leaders once he gets rid of their biggest threat to the Red Lotus, the Avatar.
yeah,
Priorities.
yeah.
And the killing the Avatar, I think either he wanted to kill Rava, which I guess would kind of sort of reset since both Vatu and Rava were killed. Maybe somehow that resets them at at even ground.
Well,
Maybe that was the goal.
what a. I'm trying to think if I have an issue too with the guys in prison. How does he even know all this stuff that was going on in the world? I guess he must have had some contacts or something.
They had to have. That I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that. Yeah, how in the world did he know where and how each of his fellows was imprisoned? There had to be insider information.
Well, I think they were all in the same prison because, and they all knew each other from before, like you said.
Well, yeah, from before, but I mean the separate prisons. How did he know where to find them in the separate prisons? I mean, one of them was kept a secret. Wait. The leader of the Water Nation was one of the Red Lotus, and the other world leaders didn't know he was. There's the insider information for for the ice dungeon, at least. Don't know about the others. Well, no,
Nice
I
dungeon.
guess. Hmm. Hmm. I guess he could have fed. Considering he was in on this little prison conspiracy, quote unquote, I guess he could have learned about all three of the prisons and then fed all of that information to the who was then the mundane. I can't remember their names.
Oh, is it here?
Yeah, is it here?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Doesn't feel something. It's thin. I'm sure there's, you know,
Well,
we have to just trust the story
okay.
because it was off camera or whatnot. But
Supposedly he knew about the ice dungeon. All the other world leaders knew about the ice dungeon, all the major ones. So presumably each of them knew about each other's specialized dungeon. And then later on we find out that, oh, that guy was actually a member of the Red Lotus. So then, okay, that's where it came from. I mean, right there.
yeah, it you know I'm
It took some thought to get to there, but hey, it works. It makes sense.
Yeah. I do apologize to anyone listening to this who has no idea what we're talking about and has never watched Korra.
You
Uh,
realize our discussion is going to span multiple episodes of yours now, right?
oh yeah. Well, it's either I put them out or I don't at all because I don't think I can even chop the like I'll put out like a couple 2 hour episodes maybe or 1 hour episodes basically because I don't know where
Just
to chop it. So
talky
we'll
episodes.
see. We'll see. We'll see.
Talky episodes.
I'm just enjoying talking while I play,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
that's
And as I said, I love analyzing things.
yeah, it's a good show and like I said, um I wasn't super keen on this last season, so the fact that this one really turned it around was nice. I am definitely and I'm looking forward to the next season. I mean, that's always kind of the biggest.
I don't know. What I've heard secondhand about well, I guess it's supposed to be the final season is that
Yeah,
they're supposed to establish that the Avatar is needed after all, and it's like everything I've seen Korra go through and everything I've seen her do tells me just about otherwise, and it's like
yeah,
I'm not rooting for her. I'm
no,
not, which makes it hard for me to look forward to the next season, except to see that, oh, where do the air nomads go from here? Oh, where do the metal benders go from here? Oh,
yeah,
where does that inventor go from here? I'm wondering about everyone else, but I
yep.
don't care about Korra's story.
Yeah, I will pretty much 100% agree with you. I don't care that much about Korra's story. I'm interested in what happens with the rest of them. Yep, and the world for sure. And I well I'm aware the creators were on a podcast and they basically said they're done with season or book 4. They're in post production.
Hmm.
I can't remember when they said it's going to air, but they basically said they're done with all the principal photography and they don't. I'm trying to remember if they said they don't know if it's going to come, how it's going to be distributed, if it's going to be just online, if it's going to be on the air or not. But basically, um, yeah, book 4 is it, and then it sounded like they're going to take a little break before they do anything else. So
Uh, wow, book four kind of sounded like it was supposed to be the finale to me. I
right.
don't know where else they would go.
Well, there is such a thing as too much in one world, and they do need to move on to the next world.
I'd
Uh,
like to see some one shots, like smaller arcs, smaller story arcs, not one episode, longer than one episode, but shorter story arcs exploring, what happened with Zuko's mother. Um,
hmm. I would
did he
be
ever find her?
well. I'd be interested to see. I would really be interested to see if they do another series. Will they do a jump like they did here,
I would
or
assume that's what they're going to do, which is not what I would want them to do, but I think that's what they will do.
yeah, that's what I'll be interested to see is how big of a time jump do they do?
I'd like to see them fill in the little gaps in the story, explain what happened here, what happened there. How did Aang die? Can we see some episodes explaining that,
Do you really want to see that? I do think I would like to see.
Well, here's the thing. He was outlived by Katara and Zuko.
Yeah.
What happened?
Did they give any hints to that at all?
I don't know. Not that I can remember.
Some sacrifice or no? Yeah, I think there was like.
I don't think he died when he dealt with that bloodbender. I really don't think he did. I don't remember him dying. I mean, yeah, it looked like things were bad, but he won, so why would he have won and died? Uh,
I know which bloodbender you're talking about. I'm trying to think. Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know that they've given us any hint at all.
oh, one more complaint about Legend of Korra so far that I've heard. Okay, firebending. They established in the last Airbender that if you had inner serenity, you would be able to fling lightning. Okay, so that's advanced firebending. Then earthbending has metal bending. Airbending kind of stopped existing for a while.
Yep.
And
Well,
then water bending. Advanced water bending had like three different forms. All right. Healing, uh, besides what the Avatar did, because that's a completely different league, at least the Avatar state. So healing, blood bending, and then the weak by comparison octopus form. We
well,
see the evolution.
that was just controlling a lot of water at once.
That was still an advanced technique, though.
But I wouldn't
It
put it
was
in the
considered one.
yeah, but I wouldn't put that in the same category
Okay,
as
but we see its evolution into an advanced technique in Legend of Korra. I think
sure.
the whole arm thing, the water arms.
Hmm.
I think that's the evolution of that, and that's kind of an advanced water technique. Um, but
Sure.
other than that, okay, we see an advancement in bloodbending by three people. You know, this one family manages to advance a little bit in bloodbending, and then water actually seems to get weaker than it used to be. The water healing, I mean, which is kind of weird. So we see fire advance. You know, there's way more lightning benders all of a sudden. Uh, I guess after the Fire Nation came to know peace, a lot more of them found an inner peace of their own, and therefore were able to lightning bend. Um, and then got jobs as power generators.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So, we have a lot more lightning benders. We have, metal bending was taught and spread. So we have a lot more metal benders. Airbenders, well, we know why that didn't really advance. And then water bending didn't advance either. And it's like, hold on, wait a minute. Water was really, really awesome in The Last Airbender. What happened in Legend of Korra? Why did, by all signs, it actually seem to regress in power? Why
Mm,
are there less skilled? There's a handful of really skilled waterbenders, but only a handful. The number of skilled waterbenders actually seem to have shrank over the years, unlike the lightning benders and metal benders.
I don't know. I mean, was plant bending water as
Yes, it
well?
was actually, yeah.
Okay.
Well, the swamp bending. They were bending the water that had soaked into the vines.
Yes. And blood and the ability to control people, that was all water, wasn't
Hmm.
it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't I don't they didn't capitalize on it. I'm not sure that I would say that it like regressed or anything like that, but yeah, they didn't really do much with it.
It certainly didn't grow. The others grew by, fire and earth grew by leaps and bounds.
Wait, actually, sorry. What was the growth with fire? I know Earth was
Lightning.
magma.
Lightning.
Yeah, but that was in book.
No, no, no. I mean, in the jump from Last Airbender to Legend of Korra.
Gotcha. 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 Gotcha.
Um, we saw a massive leap in lightning bending, massive leap in earth bending, and then now we have lava bending, so that's an extra leap.
Hmm.
Um,
Spirit bending.
that always existed though, and that wasn't really that's not a power thing. that's completely a technique sort of thing and a spiritual sort of thing, not really not a practical or powerful ability.
I thought that was the evolution of air bending, though. No.
Don't think so, because that was water bending. That did do the spirit bending was water bending.
What's
That's
water? I can't remember now.
Yeah, whenever Korra tries to pacify a spirit, she always uses water. You see the water stream snake around them
That's right.
and start glowing.
That's right. That's why the Tenzin sister could do it, or tried to do it as well.
Yeah. But
But wait a minute.
presumably that was
Whoa.
always around.
Actually, I don't understand because spirit, that's spirit bending, right?
Well, it's connecting to a spirit and helping to pacify it.
So, but that's different than the spirit world projection stuff that Jinora does. I don't know. Maybe
Yes,
spirit
that's
is
different.
not tied to a spirit is not tied to an element.
That's what I would think.
Because I always thought it was the evolution of air or water. I can't remember what I thought now.
Well, that's the thing. The air nomads were always the most spiritual people, with water being the second most spiritual. So it stands to reason the air nomads would have the easiest time entering the spirit world.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. When I watched Avatar, I never really got into the lore of the powers. I just watched it and I never really questioned it. Uh, and a lot of people, do. They want to know the rules and all that stuff. I was enjoying it, but for Korra, I feel like there was more time and ability to actually look at that aspect of things. It's kind of interesting to me.
Um, that's not really a plot hole. It's just disappointing that water didn't really go much of anywhere. And some
Hmm.
people think that I think supposedly, according to the discussions I've seen, it sounds like supposedly most people recognize that the water healing ability somehow got weaker for some reason, and there's not much explanation for why that is. And some people are justifying it, some people are defending it, saying, well, water healing was OP anyways. And one of my
Mm,
friends had the perfect response to that. It's a show, not an MMO. It doesn't need to be balanced. Not in that way.
yeah, that's I don't really understand. I don't know. I didn't feel like anything was weakened per se.
Well, they certainly didn't grow.
Yeah.
Or they may have grown a little bit, like the whole water arm thing. Okay, I guess that's growth, but otherwise, water seems to have stagnated. Now, another friend of mine did bring up an interesting point, though. Um, the Water Nation did seem to be the most married to tradition. So maybe that adherence to tradition is at fault for their stagnation. And in fact, the whole tradition versus progress was a big issue in the second season, in fact. So I guess that fits.
Um, that could be. I get. I don't know. I don't. Well, I guess I didn't really notice that anything was lacking. I guess if you were one of these people who most identifies with the Water Nation, or Water Benders, I should say, and you were wanting to see them get their, you know, equivalent of everyone else, I can see where that might be, uh, you know,
I actually
disappointed.
love air. I love the freedom of. I like the idea of the. I'm actually scared of heights in real life, but airbending would actually, give me a way to eliminate that fear because when you can fly, if you can catch yourself, if you can stop yourself from falling, heights are no longer a problem. That freedom of movement, the speed, um, the ability to move things as if you're earth bending,
Hmm.
if your air bending is powerful enough. Air has always been one of my favorite elements, and in Avatar: The Last Airbender and in Korra, the way air has been presented always seemed to me like the most fun, interesting, and maybe even the most versatile element. I mean, Aang even cryogenically froze himself with airbending. What? That's probably the biggest plot hole of The Last Airbender, really, is how the heck did he cryogenically freeze himself? Like, cryogenically freeze himself. How did he stop himself from aging by
Hmm.
freezing a bubble around him?
Well, I guess if you slow the particles down enough, including your
That's
own,
time
although
magic. That's getting into time magic.
I don't know.
Besides, the human body is not made of air particles, though.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't know how. Well, I don't know how much their rules were defined versus what they made up as they got later seasons. I don't know, but it's
That one was they made that up, and they never went back to it too. I don't think. Yeah, they covered the subject again, but I don't think that power was exhibited again, except maybe once, but not by anyone else but Ong. And it seems really out of place, and I don't understand how it works at all, one bit, not
hmm.
even plausibly.
One thing that I noticed in this book, but actually I noticed it in the previous books of Korra, but definitely it was in this book again, is a lot of emphasis on family and siblings,
Hmm.
and I mean really to the extent that every pretty much everyone ended up having a sibling that was in some way important to the show, and I found that interesting, uh,
Hmm.
except for Korra. Tenzin brothers and sisters, you know, uh, the kid his kids obviously have brothers and sisters. Um, Mako and Bolin, just pretty much everybody having these brother or sister ties, or quite a few people having them this season. And I don't know if that just happened to be a theme or if there was a reason that they went that route. But that really stood out. Tonrock and Unalak, like there was tons of siblings on display. I don't know if you noticed that at all. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm here. I think I will need to step away for a minute, though. I need a bathroom break.
Okay, that's fine. I'm pretty close to being done with my ability to think straight and talk.
Oh,
It's just getting late,
yeah.
but I am
I
gonna finish this build. So, all right. So that is the building of the cargo plane. At least the initial build. I still have a couple things I need to do. Basically, I need to decide how I'm going to handle the lock mechanism. Whether I keep this door open or just use the ramp. I'm certainly going to use the ramp. Pull out the torches. I feel like I need to put some other decoration in the cockpit, maybe signs, although I don't really have a good place for them. I guess I could do something like this. Um, I hope you guys enjoyed that discussion with Silvas Ruin. I actually had a lot of fun um, talking about Korra. We talked about all kinds of other stuff too. And I'll see you next time.